So, quick video about key tracking and how I'm using it in my patch. Quick note on what I'm doing with the sound. Kind of going for some of the chiller, sort of wiggling, wavy kind of sounds. Now, key tracking in a nutshell is just going to allow, first and foremost, your pitch to go up one note with one note that you go up on the keyboard. One note, one semitone anyways. The reason that has its own dedicated page, this is bigger than your entire oscillator section. It's a hugely important part of sound design, because if you take this away and you don't utilize this the way that it usually is, which is just a straight line, you get this. Everywhere that I play, you get the same note. And what that does is it takes the choice away from the player. This is a great thing for effects. If you're doing a riser, for instance, you can imagine that, and this is inside massive, you can imagine that a riser could sound great starting really down low. You design this whole thing, but then somebody opens up your patch, hates it because they tried it in the upper range. So, and of course, if you already start very high, it's just going to rise into this really high, just pingy and metallic range. And that's not good for anybody. So, takes the choice away for oscillator pitch. Anyways, that's what key tracking does, and it's a part of every patch that you've ever opened up. So, it's also attached to your filter as well, and that's to make things as smooth as possible across your entire range. And so what it's going to do is it's going to open up for your upper ranges, so your higher notes don't get their head cut off by your filter. Now, here's how I'm using it. If you'll notice, got a pretty nice, not distortion sound, but kind of old-timey filter sound. Still got a ways to go, but that's fine. If I turn off the EQ, it gets a little brighter. But now there's no difference because I've attached the key tracking modulator to my high shelf. And what that does is when I go all the way to the higher ranges and I play the higher notes, I don't get this anymore. Let's turn this off. I don't get this piercing range that just sucks because I have my key tracker on. And what this is going to do, technically, is the edge of the maximum value, whether I make that above or below, or my knob is pointed at, that is where the highest value on my keyboard, like just this highest note right here, it's where that is going to play. So the highest notes now are going to be as though my high shelf is down here. My lowest is going to be wherever the knob is pointed. So the minimum of this modulation. So that means that when I'm starting to move higher and higher, my EQ is going to go lower and lower, which is great. Or my high shelf is going to go lower and lower. So that now I'm not just going to have this terrible piercing arena. This is a great thing if also volume. Let's say volume is starting to get a little out of hand when you're going in your low sections. Let's try this. I don't like that. So this is not the case, but we'll pretend it is. When it's up higher now, our volume is going to be just a little bit boosted. I'll even turn off the EQ here. There we go. That's a little loud. Because I attached Keytracking to both of our oscillator amps. Let's go all the way down to the bottom. Right about normal volume. It just keeps getting louder and louder because I have Keytracking attached to the amp. So here's how you should try to use it. Wherever you have a sound that one range sounds better than the other, the odds are Keytracking will help it. If your upper range sounds better because it's just crisper than your lower range and it just gets a little bit muddy, then you should attach your key tracker to the high shelf and boost it straight up. If the opposite is true and it sounds better in the low end and your upper range just is sounding pingy and metallic and no good, then attach it to your high shelf, throw your key tracker all the way to the bottom, and you're gonna smooth things out a little bit. So there you go.